I think it's a fear of vulnerability only for the simple fact that um being too vulnerable isn't safe. So trying to gauge what that looks like or feels like, you really don't know. So personally, yeah, there's some fear of vulnerability, cuz hurt don't feel good, and sometimes being vulnerable, in order for you to be vulnerable, you have to have the understanding that vulnerability can attract hurt. So it's that thought. Too much of one thing could be a bad thing. Um, and I feel on the vulnerability part, I feel that way only because, like, there's not a lot of nice people in this world. So they could play on your vulnerability to hurt you, So it is really it's really tough because you got to make a decision. Are you going to be vulnerable and let everything that's in your heart out? Because you could be a representative for somebody else that is in the same thinking space as you, or are you going to keep it in and you have this big wall up now? I work in a hospital, so I've been doing it almost going on 9 years. And the patients in the hospital, when you're sick, you have no choice but to be vulnerable. So working with patients, it's helped me a lot to kind of bring my guard down because they don't know me from a hole in the wall. So I got to help them. I literally got to see them in their most vulnerable state. You get what I'm saying? So it's helped me a lot because that could have easily been me versus me giving up the option or me just choosing to be vulnerable. They didn't choose. They have no choice. A lot of times, and it's a human thing to do, you have your issues. It's easy for you to carry those issues and then bring it into every room that you walk into. But then when you're dealing with people and you have to help them, that negative energy that you bring in a room, it kind of illuminates and attaches to other people. So if somebody's sick, it'll be easy for them to flip on you because they're already in a negative space. So my goal every day that I do go to work is to empty my mind and try to push as much positivity either to the people that I work with or the patients that I'm taking care of. So that's basically like how I approach it. It's not the helping people that brings fatigue. It's everything in between that. Like, because I work on a step down unit, these people are very, very sick. So it's one step away from being in the ICU. Now, the running back and forth to make sure that you're being effective in helping these people, that's the tiring part. But the actual helping, it's not, it doesn't weigh so much that it blocks like my creativity, because my creativity ends up being an outlet to what I do every day. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, it just feels like second nature, as if I was born to help people no matter what the help looks like. I always ask, why me? Why do people come to me to vent? At my job, there's a large amount of people, whether they're a patient or they work there, they just open up. They just like talking to me. Like, it doesn't matter what it could be advice about school, relationship advice. Sometimes people just want to be heard. And I don't mind listening, So the question was, do I leave with those stories still on my mind? I remember them all. I don't bring them home though. It's a very humbling position to be in, because it reminds you that there's people that have it out there worse. Well, when you have somebody that's younger than you that has a brain injury and they can't do nothing for themselves, they can't breathe on their own, they can't eat, they have to eat out of a tube. It kind of puts you in a perspective to, like, it kind of puts you in a position where now you have a perspective that this could be you, So when I was young when I started working in the hospital. I was, I think, 23. So when I seen somebody that was younger than me or my age on a ventilator, I was like, whoa, what's so special about me that I'm not in their position? You get what I'm saying? So it's one of those things for me. It could just easily be me. Me and Jay-Wan grew up together, so and we're like, we have time in between our ages. So a lot of people wouldn't think like, oh, me and him would hang out, and we're like close knit. I'm 35 years old and Jay-Wan is 28, 29. So these ideas, like, we think on a different level, and I think that's why we're so close. You get what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to take a step back and think differently, because if not, it's like you're in a game of Sims. You get what I'm saying? Like, everything is just repeating itself. I've been down that road, so that's why I was like, you know what? Let me just leave the alcohol alone. So being in the parties, everybody else is drunk, and you're just standing there sober. You literally have to deal, like he said, with life head on, and you get annoyed a lot quicker. Because imagine you in a party and you're sober, and then somebody's doing something drunk, and you're like, yo, what's wrong with you? Like, fix up. I had a thought, and I said to myself, there was one time that I was at a party and I was not drunk, and I'm looking at everybody acting a fool. I'm like, yo, is this how I look when I'm like not sober? So I mean, thinking outside of the box has really motivated me to do things differently. I feel like everybody drinks. In this day and age, everybody drinks. And I think they drink because they're trying to escape. You get what I'm saying? I want to escape, but I don't want to have to rely on drinking or, smoking to escape what reality is. I want to be able to have the brain power to focus on what needs to be focused on and give the energy that I have to what I want to give the energy to. You get what I'm saying? Because you escape through drinking, it's like sweeping dirt under the rug. You don't get to actually deal with your issue. in the beginning, I used to be nervous about it because it's like I have to have this tie, slacks, and hard bottoms, and I'm walking with my mom headed to church, and my friends are having a good time outside playing and doing what they want to do. So to me, it felt like it was out of the ordinary or out of the norm. At the age that I'm at now, I didn't realize how much it was a luxury, because that helps change your mind state as well. When you have like a spiritual like life. I grew up in the church playing the drums. The drums is what kept me in the church. And then once I was able to like understand and attach what I would hear in the church to like my everyday living, I got comfortable with trying to find out more. Like, what can I do to like escape the routine of what I think is good versus what will actually help me, you know? So fasting has been like the number one thing, you know? And fasting isn't easy. It's one of the hardest things that I think I've ever had to come across. You literally have to regulate your body to be comfortable with not consuming whatever it could be, music, food, for a significant period of time. Just so you could bring that control back. You get what I'm saying? So fasting has been a big help in kind of guiding and directing me to where I'm at today. I remember I tricked a few of my friends to come to church. It'd be in the middle of the service. There's another drummer on the drum set. I would take my mother's car. I would drive to my block. I'll hang out for a little bit, and I'm like, yo, come with me real quick. And I wouldn't tell them where we're going. And we show up to the church, and they'd stay there for a little bit. And each time that I did it, I could see that my friends were scared because it's not something that they're used to. It's very different. And, you know, for me, my experience in the church is different from outside. It felt more like a family. Although there's some aspects of outside that I would say when I was running around, it emulated from what I thought could be a family. You get what I'm saying? So I could see why somebody would be comfortable running the streets and doing what it is that they're doing outside, because if you don't have a sense of family at home, if you don't go to church and have a sense of family there, you're going to find something to be a part of. And essentially, a lot of people don't get the opportunity to experience that. So that's why they fall into the trouble that they fall into. Not only is it important to have a support system, you need a support system that is also doing the work themselves, because you can't help nobody if you can't help yourself. You get what I'm saying? So it's I think it's easy to ask. Well, no, it's not easy to ask. It's easy to take. It's hard to give. Let me put it that way. So I don't really need from J1, and J1 don't need from me. That's why this friendship works the most. I'm not asking for much. He's not asking for much. Yes, we do favors for each other. If he needs something, if I need something, we could gladly ask. But I always have the idea in my head. Picture a lawn that's supposed to grow grass. The lawn will look crazy if it's a patch here that's not growing and everything else looks good. So I look at the grass as like community. If we all grow together, we all look good. Yeah, experience is your best teacher, but I think there's some things in life that you shouldn't have to experience to learn from. Because you could easily see somebody going through something and say to yourself, damn, I don't want to end up like this. You know, so being able to kind of find those people that have had it hard but can't really find an outlet aside from therapy, because I've never done therapy. I guess by the grace of God, I've made it this far without, you know, doing anything to harm myself or anybody else. You get what I'm saying? Because I'm sure it's easy for those thoughts to come, because at the end of the day, you're human, and we're always trying to look for an outlet in some kind of way. It just depends on which you plan on putting your hat on. So yeah, I think going through what I went through is initially something that sparks that idea of wanting to help somebody else. In those moments, that's when I really knew what depression was. Before that, I had no idea. I'd be on the block, everybody's laughing, having a good time, and I'm just sitting there like, damn, nobody even knows what I'm going through right now. But of course, the people that you're the closest to, that know your energy, that feed off of your energy, they see that there's something missing. So I did have a friend ask me like, yo, you good? But I would lie and say, yeah, I'm straight. I'm good. So yeah, in high school, it was easy. It was easier than my first year of college. Primarily because I didn't have to pay to go to school. You know, mom and dad is cooking in the house whenever I am hungry. But now that I'm out of the house, it's like you got to figure things out yourself. I go live with my grandmother. She's a lot older. She was at the time in her 70s, her late 70s, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, things are going cool. But then a problem comes where, you know, I'd go to school. From school, I'd go to work. And I wouldn't be getting out of work until like 11. And that's starting to get too late for her. And her fear is that somebody might follow me into her apartment, and either we get robbed or now we're both dead. So after she stopped getting comfortable with that, I ended up moving. I probably moved within that year, maybe 8 times. And it was stressful. It was so stressful that I requested for a vacation from my job. I was working at a supermarket, and I put in for vacation. Then when I called, it had to be a Friday. I called and I'm like, hey, was my vacation approved? My vacation wasn't approved because somebody that had seniority, their vacation was approved. So to make a very long story short, I didn't show up. I'm like, I can't do it. I don't think I could deal with people. I don't think I could deal with being at a register, interacting with people and their attitudes and so on and so forth. So I didn't show up. I never went back to that job. And that made things 10 times worse because now I don't got no money. I'm staying with one of my family friends, and one of our friends just recently died. People from my neighborhood ended up asking me to watch a dog that our friend left behind from passing. Her name was Pepsi. Now, I'm thinking to myself like, damn, I don't have no money for me. How am I gonna feed the dog? So every time I would get around my mom would give me some money and I would try to get something for the dog, or I would try to get enough for the dog so that I don't have to keep buying over and over. And then one night I went to go take her for a walk. We were playing. She bit me, but I felt like she bit me a little too hard. I yelled at her and she ran away. I never seen her again. I don't think I've ever gotten the chance to recover from that aspect of my life because everything else, you know, they say with trauma, you start to forget things. So I have like a blur of what life was from a certain time to a certain time. And I can't even tell you what that looks like. Like Jay Wanna asked me like, yo, you remember? Or he'll state a name and I'm like, wait, who is that? Or he'll tell me about an event that we both experienced and I'm like, damn, I don't remember. You know, so. But it definitely, I feel like it was a gift and a curse because it's something that I needed. Because it built some kind of resilience. You know, it definitely built resilience. I have a quote in my brand that states, "Smiling but not happy." And the reason that I even incorporated it into my brand is because this is something that I felt on numerous occasions. So one of my dreams is to reach the people that, you know, have to wouldn't say have to, the ones that do put a smile on their face and still have to deal with the world, you know, no matter how they feel. You know, the ones that are fighting with their thoughts, but are still like smiling and you never know that this is what they're going through. So that's one of my dreams, aside from, you know, making clothes that kind of make people feel comfortable. My final thought is what I usually say. Spread love, because you may never know who needs it. And hopefully one day you receive that same love back.